So today is the build day for the new Indian Scout. It's what I look forward to the most. It doesn't mean we're going to be build and complete, but it means that we're going to go from spread all around the shop at least to up on wheels. Once we get to that point, there's going to be some things that don't fit because we have wheel spacers to make. I'm going to have to work on adapting the steering stem and a couple things with some of the component changes that I've done. I'm super happy with how everything turned out. Shimmer aluminum Cerakote on the engine components and wheels turned out absolutely fantastic, as well as the gold CAD plating on the hardware and things like the ABS sensor rings and the rotor, which is a little bit experimental, but the last project I did on the R1 worked out fantastic. But it's build day. It's definitely one of those ones that we're going to go late into the night, but we're finally going to start looking at the silhouette of the Indian Scout, which is what I'm the most excited for. There's a lot more work to do, but this is definitely one of the more gratifying steps of the whole process. Ooh, you see it line up right there? Do you think you can get that through? Okay. Push it. Push it.
It's stuck.
Ooh, all the way, all the way. Can you feed it all the way through? Oh, perfect, like a pro. Oh. 276 degrees at 275. So I wanted to get everything to this point because I knew that at this point is where things would start not fitting again after so much did. And I'm doing a conversion on this to put this on 17s. 17 by 5.5 rear and 17 by 3.5 front. These wheels are from an FTR 1200. I have an FTR 1200 as well, and it's a super good footprint to do a wheel conversion for the Scout. So there's a couple things that are different. The axle diameter is different, so I'm going to have to make new spacers for the to get the proper ID and alignment centering the internal bearing spacer in the wheel. And the chain line is looking to be exactly as it needs to be. So I'm going to test the waters on that and see if that's true. And then second to that, it is the caliper bracket on the opposite sides. If I get it to align with the rotor, I still have, at least 25 mil that I need to get onto the location pin. So basically, there's some machine work that needs to be done, maybe a little welding, but we're getting closer to the 17-inch wheel conversion on the Scout. One thing that I was waiting to see is how long the shock length need ended up being for this to get the desired swing arm angle. I believe this thing had about 2.5 degree swing arm angle on it, centered up on the stand when the shocks were topped out. I'm going for more 6-7. I want to get a little bit more ground clearance with this. These are the stock shocks for the placeholder now. I got the measurements off them and I'm going to order those from Olin. So I'm going to go just over, what is it? Right, 20 millimeters longer on the shock to get the angle I'm looking for, and that's also at the same time going to give me more ride height, because I also took, this is an RSD relocator mount that they had made that moved the shock angle back for a better leverage ratio on the rear. So a couple things going on there. This is pretty turnkey as long as I get the shocks. The spacer alignment and caliper bracket issue is going to take some effort, but either way, I'm pretty happy with how it's going together. So it's a good mesh of conversion and similar parts families. That's going to look really well together. So I don't know how I blew it on this one, but I had just aesthetically looked at the bars and thought that these were 1.125" fat bars because I saw the neck down for 7/8 on both sides. Sandblasted, Cerakoted these all up, boom, boom. They are not. I think it's just inch bar. So that's not going to fit for now. I'm going to put the stock bars back on, but I still would like to rectify getting this to an 1.125" clamp. But for now, we're going to run the other bars and just make it happen. Good evening. I'm going to disassemble this, pull the fuel pump. I got a little fuel in here. I'll wash out the tank. I'm going to have to get a heat gun out, pull the emblems, and then I'm going to start taking a surface conditioning tool that I just got, which is, I've used DAs before with Scotch pads, but at least to scotch the top of the surface because I'm still torn on if the tool can pull off as much material as I want to strip it to bare metal, or if it's going to be best for me to strip it. I like stripping the tanks. I just don't love working with the materials and the chemicals, so we're going to start the process and see how it goes.
Okay.
Because I definitely don't want to get gas in my mouth, but I'm pretty good at this. Alright, we're going to try this out. I just got this SCT tool, surface conditioning tool. If not, I'm going to end up stripping this, but I have 2 holes in the table for a grinder, which the hardest part about this is going to be getting this thing held. So I thought this was going to be a little bit more aggressive on taking this off. I'm going to switch to a heavier grit drum that's a little bit more stripping oriented. I was worried about the lines that it would put in the grain, but I think it's going to do just fine, and then I'll go back over it with this one. But this will get the desired finish I want in the end, but I need something a little bit more aggressive to break through this paint. Alright, that took like an hour and a half. That wasn't too bad. I don't think that's any longer or shorter than stripping it, but this way I've already done the match sanding, as where before if I would strip it I would still have to do it afterward. I'm not going to get it Cerakoted immediately, but I'm happy with how it looks aesthetically. I can see it on the side of the bike, and I'm going to want to mount it on the bike before I mask and do the clear Cerakote on the raw steel. So we want the raw look on this, but I want it to be protected so it doesn't oxidize, and I like this finish a lot. The hardest part about this is keeping the finish looking like this. So I just gave it a quick touch up. We're now going to remove all greases and oils from the local environment, and we're going to put a Cerakote trim coat clear on this. It's absolutely fantastic for protecting metal. It's not typically sold as this, but on my stunt bike tanks I've been using it for a while and the result is amazing. So I'm super excited to give it a go on this. So the reason I made that mark is because as where the compression rebound adjusters have clicks where it's super easy to count out, preload adjuster just goes off turn. So if you make a hash mark like that, it's a lot easier to count it. I'm doing something on these Öhlins forks, which I have done once before. I definitely do enjoy the aesthetic, but I have gold outer forks on almost all my builds. And for this one specifically, I'm going for a much darker tone within the patinas and Cerakote choices that I'm going. So between that and needing to put a stiffer spring rate spring in these forks, I'm going to take apart these forks right now so that I can anodize the fork tube outers black. That's a service that I take in and have done. But I'm still going to have the gold lowers. I absolutely love the Öhlins componentry, but on this bike specifically, I want to do black forks. So the next thing I'm going to do, take the fork caps off, drain the fluid, and start prepping these to take to anodizing.
How do you know?
The stuff just starts getting funny.
Stuff's getting weird.
Stuff starts getting weird when it gets late. I went black on this one, but man, Olin's does a nice job.